What's up out there? Welcome back to some more Melvor Idle, and today we're going to take a look at the Necromancer's Palace, which I am currently running. To get into this dungeon, you have to complete the Cursed Forest one time. As far as I know, that's the only requirement for it, and you will face 5 cursed skeletons, which we're fighting now. These are melee. They don't really do anything special, but you're going to be a ranged character to defeat this, and you need to be able to withstand their whatever damage they can do if you're going to idle this. The next thing up is going to be these Belnos that are magic. There's 4 of those. Then there's 3 Dark Knights that are melee again, and then we fight the final boss. So if you want to beat this one time, like the first time you want to beat this and just get a clear on it, follow the combat triangle. You're going to use magic for the first 5 creatures, then switch over to range, then back to magic for a few creatures, and then back to range for the final boss. Now, the problem is the final boss has a wild swing of damage, and because he gets some damage buffs where he can get like plus 300 damage or something like that, he can also add damage reduction debuffs to you. So he's not just going up by 300, he could be going up by 450, 500, 600, and it really skews things off one side or the other. So this one took a little bit to figure out, and I've made some more adjustments as I've unlocked some more equipment. So the equipment that I have is not necessarily what I started this with, because I've ground some more gear out. And when I first beat this, the gear that I had was not the same as the stuff that I got after I ground out the Cursed Forest. We're looking at the Dark Knights right now. We've got a few of these to go. So I've been able to add like the Mask of Torment and some other goodies here and there to try out. And that's where I got to where I'm at today. The first time you do this dungeon, I would strongly recommend that you run damage reduction 4s. And as far as prayers go, you can always run protect item, but I would really recommend running the Holy Aegis and the Stone Skin. That gives you a lot of extra damage reduction and it can make up for some of the gear deficits you may have. You're going to want a lot of DPS on this. So at some point, you're going to want to tone the damage reduction stuff down and the DPS stuff up. And the way to do that is when you're fighting the boss, and this is kind of I don't want to say a play as you go kind of thing, but you need to start fighting the boss and then make slight adjustments as you go. I really recommend having stuff ready in the quick equip to swap around in case something goes sideways. You can quickly change to damage reduction stuff and then exit out. So clear this out real quick here because that will drive me nuts. Okay, we're about to fight the boss, and I'll run through the gear that I have on here. A lot of this gear is familiar. You've seen all this stuff before. I think I have pretty much all of the gear ground out aside from the highest end Slayer stuff. Okay, this guy's going to start off with 288. Now, he's taken my thing here. He's added 15% maximum hit to minimum hit. And, well, I've got some damage reduction and stuff building up. He's added 300% max hit, or 300 maximum hit. Yeah, he's not really going up as far. I have enough damage reduction in place right now that I'm pretty happy with this, and he's not really going bananas. But if I change this too much, he will do some massive, massive hits. I haven't been killed by him, but like this Shade Summon, it stacks up and hits really hard. I've seen this thing hit for 720 or something like that, and I've got things balanced where I can mow him down fairly quickly. So let's look at the gear that I've got. First and foremost, damage reduction 4s. The prayers I'm running are Battleborn and Avidity. With the gear that I currently have set up, I am running the Gauntlets of Rage, the Mask of Torment, which the Mask of Torment comes from the, went to the wrong place, comes from the Cursed Forest. That's one of those. So if you clear that out and get this Mask of Torment, this gives you 13% damage reduction, and it gives you a chance to target or curse the target, which is helpful. I am running Cape of Completion. That's 5% damage reduction. I am running the Fury of the Elemental Zodiacs, which is 3% damage reduction. Blood Vials for a little bit of lifesteal and auto eat efficiency. This isn't really a big deal. I just happen to have a lot of them, so I put them on when I'm doing these fights if I don't need something else in there. Meteorite bolts, because these synergize with that ring. The torrential blast crossbow, which you've seen before. The bundled protection body, which you've seen before. The divine shield. This is a melee shield, but it gives 16% damage reduction. I don't see another shield that gives that much damage reduction. So you put that thing on, it's got a lot of good damage reduction for, I know it's a melee weapon or shield, but it's got a lot of damage reduction. Like the next step down is 12 or 13%. So this gives you a lot more. Perfect Sight legs I've been using for a while, 12% damage reduction. The Carrion Van Braces, 11% damage reduction. I haven't found anything better for this one yet, for the range side. Frostwalker Boots, 12% damage reduction. The Meteorite Marksman Ring synergizes with the Meteorite Bolts and gives you a little bit of equipment damage. And then, of course, Centaur and Dragon. This gives you a 10% chance to apply fire with ranged. So that's basically my setup. And you can see I kind of just melt through everything as we go and kill it off very quickly. So I have tried other gear with this, like say what is this thing called? The Blazing Helmet. This is 12% damage, and the Mask of Torment is 13% damage reduction. So I switched from the blazing ones because it gives you an additional 1% damage reduction with the shield, as opposed to, say, the Carrion Shield. Carrion Shield's only 12. If you equip all of this stuff, it gives you enough damage reduction that you can still use regular prayers and not have to use the damage reduction prayers. So that basically burns through all these creatures, and I think I had a slightly worse build. It was taking a little bit longer to kill the end boss, but I could still survive it, and I think I had to run those prayers, and I had less gear. But then I spent time grinding out the Cursed Forest and made a few adjustments here. Another honorable mention is this ring here, this Palladium Eureka ring. This gives 4% damage reduction when fighting a magic enemy. So when you come up against the boss, it gives a little bit more damage reduction. But I can swap out to the Gauntlets of Rage and get more damage and faster attack intervals. So I've been doing that. So that brings us down to what you get for rewards from here. As far as I know, there is nothing else but clearing the dungeon. You're not going to get any prayers. You're not going to get any auras or curses or anything like that. What you do get out of it is one of these chests over here, this bone chest. And this thing will drop summoning scrolls, large urns, which are always welcome, Hood of Shade Summon, Gloves of Greater Shade Summon, Amulet of Curse Totem, and Ring of Phantom Summon. So we go over here. These are the summoning scrolls. 15 plus 15 base quantity for summoning tablet creation, 10% chance to preserve summoning charges, and 10% chance to preserve resources in summoning. So that's really cool. Let's see, what else did we get here? Click on this. I have it all in my inventory here. Handily dandily. We get Hood of Shade Summon. These all need to be equipped together. It's actually kind of an interesting thing. Let's see where we at. We're fighting him. So as soon as we get done with this battle, I'll duck out and then show you this gear that's equipped. You can see how quickly he heals. Let's see, perform a normal attack, blah, blah, blah. Heal 15% of current hit points every 2 turns. So he heals very rapidly. And I think, yeah, this one stacks up minus 15% damage reduction. Random curses. Like you can just, it's not necessarily the same fight every time you come into it, if that makes sense. Like depending on what he hits you with, it could hurt more sometimes. So again, caution on the side of damage reduction. All right. Back to these chests. Where are we at here? Let's see. This is as good as any. I'm out of the fight. So basically you're going to get the hood, the gloves, the amulet, and the ring. If I go ahead and equip this Hood of Shade Summon, and let's see, the Curse Protection, I believe that comes from there. There's the ring, and there's the necklace. So you have to switch the necklace out from the Fury of the Elemental Zodiacs, and then put this Greater Summoning thing on. These all light up green. That means you've matched everything together. What this basically does is your summoning goes to 867 versus your normal attack. So Max hit of 1829 and summon of 867. If I was to switch this back, and are you that one? Yeah. This one? Nope. This one. So now I'm at 2000 damage and what was I at 1800 or something like that. So this is kind of an interesting combination. Like if you equip all of this gear, that came from a different dungeon, I think. This is all one big set. These 4 items here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you equip them all together, it really bumps up your summoning damage. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And maybe that's why we have a 5th gear slot, is because we need this at some point during one of the boss fights or something. I don't know. This is kind of interesting because it is completely different than everything else. And I don't believe some of this stuff is passive. Like this is all has to be in those slots. So maybe that's why we got that other gear slot, is because we're going to have to do a setup with this. Anyway, you could also run this dungeon multiple times to get more of these items, to get, bury these things, but to get extra hoods and stuff. Like if you wanted to use one of these for some reason, they do some things by themselves, I think. Yeah, Shade Summon. Yeah, extra hits that stack, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of cool stuff with this. It's a unique set, and I think it's really cool, and I'm kind of curious, maybe that's what we do with the 5th slot, now that I think about it. Maybe we need to equip that in there. Now, you also get to buy the Summoner's Altar from here, which I can't remember what that does, but I think it's boost summoning speed. It's in the skill upgrades, I believe. And let's see, what else do we get? This also opens up, there's a dungeon pet. Yeah, there's a little pet. I believe I've got that unlocked. Nope, I don't have it unlocked, so I got to go get that one. So there is a pet. This gives you plus 5% maximum summoning max hit. So that's cool. Let's see. It does unlock the Throne of the Herald. That unlocks this part here. It also unlocks access to the Golden Cloud. You have to get this compass purchased, but once you've cleared that, it gives you the Golden Cloud. And from what it looks like, you have to collect these things to enable or to get into the Millennium Gate and then work on getting this gear. So I haven't quite got that part worked out yet. I haven't really spent time on it, but that is the dungeon. That's how to get through it. That's how I've gotten through it. There's probably some different combinations of gear that you can use, but again, I'm looking at just max damage reduction and then slowly backing the damage reduction down and building the DPS up just to withstand that final boss. That final boss can hit really hard. I haven't died to him yet, but he can hit very hard, and it's better to be a little more cautious when you fight him and then work in the stuff. Fortunately, we have the quick equip and we can swap stuff in and out real quickly. There is, I didn't find it, I was looking for it earlier, but there is an amulet or something. I thought it was one of these. The Zephite ones. Yeah, here it is. Plus 4% damage reduction when fighting a dungeon boss. So it's basically the same thing as this other ring that I was looking at, this Eureka ring, but this one gives you 4% when fighting any magic enemy. That one's for the boss. So I would prefer to have the magic one. I mean, it's still 4%, but the magic one lets you get damage reduction throughout the dungeon, whereas the boss one is just for the boss. So take that for what you will. Anyway, that will do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.